video that he posted on his Voidzilla channels that was titled Crime is Legal Part 2. Let's take a listen to a little bit of that.
This season of American Crime is Legal is getting even crazier. The Hawk Tuah girl, she had her investigation closed, obviously because she basically did more or less what the president did. Yes, it was a little bit worse, but kind of would look bad if you took out somebody for a meme coin while the president did it. But that's sort of your run-of-the-mill stuff you see a lot. I wouldn't even be commenting on it, except that we've now moved from not just not going after people who've done something wrong, but sort of releasing the prisoners from Arkham. I am talking about Trevor Milton. He's one of the OG fraudsters of the 21st century. This guy faked a hydrogen truck company, which was called out by Hindenburg Research, where he rolled a truck down a hill and told everyone that it worked, okay? He got arrested, sentenced to 4 years in prison, but now he won't be finishing that because he got an unconditional pardon from President Trump. So where do we go from here? I think SBF is up next.
And that dude, the Nikola truck guy, had apparently given like $1.9 million to the Trump campaign or to the Trump inauguration or something of that nature. I mean, it's just very clear. Like any Trump associate, they can get away with whatever. It doesn't matter who they scammed. It doesn't matter how egregious. They can get away with it. And then meanwhile, you know, they're charging people who like hurt a Tesla with terrorism and trying to throw them in prison for 20 years. So it's the complete and total end of even the aspiration that the criminal justice system is going to be, you know, sort of like politically neutral whatsoever.
Well, and even on white-collar crime, like, let's be honest, it's not exactly like they're working overtime in that department. So, yeah, I mean, the bar for getting yourself prosecuted for like on a federal level for white-collar crime, it's actually very high.
Absolutely.
People think it's
away
low.
With so much
People think that it's not. You actually have to go, if you look at the federal sentencing guidelines and stuff, you need to steal or be responsible for millions of dollars before. I mean, think about it. It probably cost the feds like $1 million to even investigate somebody and take you to trial. So it's got to be pretty high, whatever your alleged fraud or responsibility is here. So there's just no earthly reason why any of these people should be part. The Nikola one is absolutely the most egregious one to me. I actually do think, though, that the Ozy founder, the Carlos Watson one, is even more egregious because since we covered this story from the very beginning and then looking into it, one of his business associates, it seems almost 100% clear that his associates lobbied Alice Johnson and other like black MAGA influencers. Lobbied, you take that term for what you will. I don't have any other more information on it, but somebody somewhere got to some of these black MAGA influencers, and that's how he got himself off. I mean, he's stone cold guilty. You can go and listen to the tapes. We played it here on our show about the fakery of that website. It was egregious. It was
Which is
terrible.
why he was found guilty. Like,
no,
he was alleged.
Literally guilty. Like did he plead or was he convicted? I forget.
I don't remember.
Regardless, I mean, he's admitted guilt here, at least at some level. And why are we communicating? It's like, no, he defrauded investors and basically propped up this fake media empire. And beyond that, like deceived major corporations like YouTube, and they made a mockery of the entire thing.
Same with
these BitMEX people. I mean, like, look, I'll be the first here to tell you that the feds can overreach, that they can prosecute people for political purposes, or they can manipulate things and all that. I looked into, and I definitely know the Nikola case, very well.
Yeah.
There's no out of it. Like, there is no allegation. And that's actually why a lot of these are being announced not from the White House podium. They're just happening, from the desk, and they're only being reported after the fact of the commutation. The Ross Ulbricht thing was very different, right? There's a whole PR strategy that rolled out. But this Carlos, I mean, we have to learn that from his associates and from others, that this guy is getting out of prison. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
Well, Trump got asked about the Nikola truck guy, and he framed it in political terms. He said basically like, oh, this guy's crime was supporting Donald J. Trump. I mean, first of all, he wasn't even, until he was in trouble, he was not a known, at least, Trump supporter. But then once he saw that, oh, my Hail Mary chance to get out of these charges and get out of prison is to, send some money to Trump. And so, Trump himself frames it in totally nakedly political terms. To remind people about the Carlos Watson one, we did cover this extensively. Part of what's hilarious is if you go and look at this like OZ Media fake channel that he had propped up like it was some, giant media behemoth, and everyone was like, who? What? We've never heard of this.
That happened to me.
It was the most like cringe identity lib type of content.
And remember, Hillary spoke at their conference at OZ Fest.
That's right. That's right.
I actually met a guy once, and he was like, oh, I work at OZ Media. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, we're doing actually really well. And I went, I have never heard of this thing once. And then I banked it, in my mind. Years later, this all happens.
They had all these, remember we went and looked at their channel, and the views would be like, fairly significant.
Yeah.
And then on some videos had like no views.
Right.
And then occasionally you'd have a video that had like a very high view count. But then you'd go and look, there were almost no likes, there were almost no comments. It was completely and totally fake.
Yeah, he bought them from India or some Bangladeshi click farm.
Is that what it was?
I think that's what it was.
And then what was the most preposterous is he pretended to be a YouTube rep.
Yeah, that's right.
On a call with, I think it was like Goldman Sachs or something like that.
Him and his associates pretended to be a representative from YouTube with the camera off during a meeting.
Right.
While they were pitching, basically to raise funds.
He's using some, I think, like voice modifier to try to, and the Goldman Sachs people were like, oh, this is really weird. I mean, he just got caught red-handed. These were not cases that were really close calls.
No.
Right? Again, hawk to a girl, pump and dump. Apparently pump and dumps are just legal now. The president did one with Melania going, Javier Milei, whatever. Like, apparently that's just like a thing you can do now. But not letting her off the hook. But, these other ones are just not even remotely close cases. And it's just so clear that no matter how much of a lib or a Hunter Biden associate or whoever that you've been in the past, if you can get in Donald Trump's good graces, then you can get away with absolutely anything. It is truly astonishing. And to your point, Sagar, put B4 up on the screen. So this is really kind of a whole of government effort to let a lot of white-collar crime and a lot of corporate crime go unpunished. You've had obviously the attack on the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is like the anti-scam agency. SEC no longer regulating the crypto market. National Labor Relations Board is once again without a quorum. So if you're a worker trying to fight for worker rights, you have nowhere to go. And Public Citizen has been tracking this corporate clemency, and apparently a quarter, 25%. Of all corporate enforcement has been dropped at this point.
Wow.
So it really is a whole of government effort to let more white-collar criminals get away with, scamming the public and truly doing whatever it is that they really want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's egregious, and it is just something that's been back to the first Trump administration. He pardoned people commuted people like Michael Milken, one of the most
Forgot
notorious.
About that, Jesus.
Yeah, and also, just so you guys know, if you go to the White House now, you know what's right across the street? The Milken Institute, which is just a little bit too perfect for me. So,
wow.
Anyway, Den of Thieves, great book recommendation if you've never read it. The movie Wall Street was based on some of the characters that were in there. Ivan
really?
Boesky and Michael. I mean, Michael Milken is one of the most notorious white-collar criminals, literally, of all time. Like, he was a cut and dry, open insider trader. They had him on tape. There was no getting around it. And he basically used his gains since then to launder his reputation in the public health space and others since then. And eventually, Rudy Giuliani, who's one of the people who prosecuted Milken, is then the one who gets Trump to get him I think it's his pardon or his commutation some years later. It was completely insane.
Well, think about, the Eric Adams situation.
Well, he hasn't gotten his yet, right?
They dropped the charges against him. Pressure from DOJ and forced them to drop the charges. And remember, you had, various people who were involved at that federal district court who were like, I'm out. Like, this is blatantly immoral, unethical. And these were people who were like, one of them was like I can't remember which of the conservative justices that she had clerked for. And she was like, I'm I'm out.
That's right.
This is nakedly political.
Yes.
And yeah, it was the same. He was able to position himself like, oh, the deep state's out to get me because I want to help Trump on immigration, whatever. I mean, it's just so obvious. It's just so obvious. And it makes